be put in its place, just like every one of the other methods of knowing that we have. Rationalism, nothing can go wrong with rationalism. Accept it blindly. In rationalism, we seek answers by use of logical reasoning. There are pitfalls to that. Of course, we all know there's some really good stuff that comes with rationalism, but personal bias can be brought into it. Again, if premise statements are inaccurate, the output from a logical deduction may also be inaccurate. And I think that, so if we start with something that's not quite well-founded or well-tested, we can end up with a logical conclusion coming out of an argument, a rational argument, that leads us to, in the end, when looking at the evidence, an irrational outcome. And so what I did is I think the solution is best is to use verified facts wherever possible. But what I wanted to do too was to just go back to the argument clinic video. And in the argument clinic video, this is a Monty Python sketch that is one of my favorites for all time. I've even acted this out with my children, where we videotaped my little 8-year-old daughter and I having this debate. But I'll leave it with you. I'll just let you watch what Monty Python has to say about this. I'll just wait till it's got to pick up the video. There we go.
Is this the right one for an argument?
I've told you once.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
When?
Just now.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Didn't. I didn't.
I'm telling you I did.
You did not.
Oh, sorry, is this a 5-minute argument or the full half hour?
Oh, just the 5-minute one.
Fine. Thank you. Anyway, I did.
You most certainly did not.
Now, let's get one thing quite clear. I most definitely told you.
You did not.
Yes, I did.
You did not.
Yes, I did.
Didn't.
Yes, I did.
Didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, this isn't an argument.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. It's just contradiction.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
It is not.
It is. You just contradicted me.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you did.
No, 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 no.
You did just
No,
then.
no, nonsense.
Oh, look, this is futile.
No, it isn't.
I came here for a good argument.
No, you didn't. You came here for an argument.
Well, an argument's not the same as contradiction.
Can be.
No, it can't. An argument's a connected series of statements to establish a definite proposition.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is. It isn't just contradiction.
Look, if I argue with you, I must take up a contrary position.
But it isn't just saying, no, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. Argument's an intellectual process. Contradiction is just the automatic gainsaying of anything the other person says.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Not at all.
No, look.
Thank you. Morning.
What?
That's it. Morning.
But I was just getting interested.
Sorry, the 5 minutes is up.
That was never 5 minutes just now.
Afraid it was.
No, it wasn't.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to argue anymore.
What?
If you want me to go on arguing, I'll have to pay for another 5 minutes.
But that was never 5 minutes just now. Oh, come on. This is ridiculous.
I'm very sorry, but I told you I'm not allowed to argue unless you pay.
Oh, all right. There you are.
Thank you.
Well,
Well, what?
that was never 5 minutes just
I
now.
told you I'm not allowed to argue unless you pay.
I just paid.
No, you didn't.
I did. Look, I don't want to argue about that.
Well, I'm very sorry, but you didn't pay.
Aha! Well, if I didn't pay, why are you arguing? Gotcha.
There you have.
Is that? If you're arguing, I must have paid.
Not necessarily. I could be arguing in my spare time.
I've had enough of this.
No, you haven't.
Oh, shut up.
There you go. Yeah. So, who can point out where perhaps one of the many logical fallacies was in this that argument? Obviously, the guy had paid, right? We saw that. That's sort of the premise of the whole point. Now, where was I? I was faith rationalism, right? And when we talked about rationalism, this projector's got a slow cycle of scanning, so it just takes a second for it to pick up the. There we go. Again, logical reasoning. It can be led, it can be affected by personal bias. If premise statements are inaccurate, the output from the logical deduction may also be inaccurate. And the solution is to use verified facts wherever possible. And that was a good example, I thought, of where verified facts had failed. And there's the argument clinic video. And then, of course, there's empiricism, which has no problems whatsoever. the use of observation or direct sensory experience to obtain knowledge is a good way to learn, to know. And some of the pitfalls, of course, experimenter bias. Know your field of study and question your favorite ideas with great scrutiny. You know, experimenter bias has been accused of, in every time I watch the media pick up a story. For instance, there's a fellow that was making claims that global warming wasn't happening, and they accused him of experimenter bias. There's a fellow that was making claims that global warming is true, and they were accusing him of experimenter bias. And you'll hear this all the time. The reality, though, is it can be buried deep in the data. Things can be hidden in there, and sometimes when you're trying to tease out an outcome, that's where experimenter bias can play its role. And it's really good to have any study that's done published in a journal and beaten to death by people who are doing studies like it, to help you to find the best way to find the best result. A hypothesis must produce testable predictions in the empirical method. Look at similar research and see how it was structured. Make a solid foundation for your work before you start. And of course, operational definitions must be clear and accurate to ensure the validity of results. In the realm of psychology, one of the softer sciences, there's no question about it. Operational definitions are hard to define. Whereas in the world of physics, it's just a little bit easier, because you're asking what the rate of fall for this ball through the atmosphere is going to be. The operational definitions get a little bit easier to define in that sense. It's possible to carry forward unchecked bias or mistakes from earlier experiments, and of course, you know, you're going to have to scrutinize prior work when you go to use the outcomes of that work in the studies that you're doing today. And then finally, empiricism by definition is limited to the natural world. It gets really, if somebody does say that they arrived here by spacecraft, yes, there are some empirical things that can be looked at. You can look for burn marks in the parking lot where my spacecraft would have landed. There's all kinds of things you could do in looking for empirical data, and of course you'd find none of them because my arguments would weed their way around. But the idea is simply the only things we could look for would tend to be in the natural world. And of course the summary is, be self-aware. That's really all I wanted to talk about in this study, was for us to become self-aware of the ways that we're learning, the ways that we're claiming to know things, of how we acquire information, and how we come to think something is true. This presentation is only a summary of the ideas that are much broader and can take up years of study. I mean, professors of philosophy are the experts in my mind, and there are philosophers of science, there are philosophers of religion, and so on and so forth. There are many fields of study in philosophy, and even they have to make sure that they know the arguments from their particular field of study. You should take a course in research methods from your local university. I highly recommend this for any skeptic. Remember that research methods in the physical sciences vary greatly from those in the social, behavioral, and political sciences. And that if you're strong in, say, computer programming, you may not be the one, or you may not feel completely comfortable in doing skeptical analysis of something to do with food and diet. Right? You'd want to pick a dietitian or somebody who's got training in that field of study to help you to fully form your arguments for and against whatever you're doing. And unless you take the time to learn the various methods of argument and discourse, you'll find your skeptical analysis lacking. And of course, there's nothing wrong with being a skeptic, generally anyway. But the idea here is that if we're going to do it, we should try to do it well. Any questions?
It's probably best, actually.
Take a break right on.